Yeah, that sounds good. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Come on in. We're going to start with a little Hinei Matov, just thanking God for bringing us here so we can be together in this sacred space at this sacred time. Hinei Matov, how good it is to be in this place.
Hinei Matov u'manai Shevet achim gam yachad Hinei matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad Hinei matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad Hinei matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. God prepare me, God prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Hinei matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad Hinei matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so delighted that you could be here with us this Shabbat. It has been a long time since I have been here with you, so I'm very happy to be back with you. Rabbi Michael is still recovering, but will hopefully be better by next week. But again, it's just lovely to be able to be here with you on this night when there's so many different things that are bringing us to this place. And I know some of them are moments of joy, some of them are times of concern and sadness, and for some of us, we just needed to be able to be together in community. So whatever it is that is bringing you here to TI tonight, I hope that you find whatever it is you're looking for. Now, some of the folks here, this general region over here, but maybe also a region over there, are here because tomorrow Miss Ava Stern is becoming bat mitzvah. And so, in honor of that very special occasion, it is my honor to invite up John and Angie and Oliver and Ava and Savannah to help us with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, which can be found in the beginning of your prayer books. All the way back on page 3.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hooray pri hagafen. Amen. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
It's just for you, so we'll rip right in. When we experience Shabbat together, it sometimes can feel as if angels are coming into our midst. And so we have the song that we sing sometimes at our Shabbat tables and sometimes here when we're in services. On page 24, we sing Shalom Aleichem, welcoming those Shabbat angels into our presence.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch.
On page 29, there is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with a song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Let us bless as we join together and rise on page 28.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Please join me in the English at the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. On 31, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And Shema is on 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta
et Adonai Elohecha b'chol לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדע בקודש נורא תהילות נורא תהילות אוסף נורא תהילות נורא תהילות אוסף We are marching together to the promised land, gathered together hand in hand, guided to our freedom through the desert sand, marching together to the promised land. kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nida b'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osefele. Nora tehilot, osefele, 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 osefele.
Yechamocha sings to us about the idea that we are given this tremendous gift of freedom, but we know that just because we have been given the gift of freedom does not mean that we always feel safe and protected. And so in our evening service, we always follow our Michamocha with Hashkivenu, asking God, with this freedom that God has given us, to still make sure that we feel a sense of protection wherever we go.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leShalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leShalom. V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leShalom, leShalom, leShalom.
This has, for so many people in our community, been a difficult week. But sometimes, even in our most difficulties, we are blessed with these moments of transformation and joy, and this was one of those weeks where even with all the difficulties, there were a couple really, really bright spots. And one of them happened yesterday when Ryan joined us at the mikvah to officially become a member of the Jewish people. And so, Ryan, I would love to call you on up here. Your fan club is watching. Now, I know that many of you are looking at Ryan and you're like, but Ryan has been a part of this community forever, and she has. But that's what makes it so amazing to be able to say that even though now you're official, you have been one of us for so long, and it is really, truly a joy to be able to make this moment something that we can now celebrate in front of the congregation. So what we're going to do is sort of repeat the questions that the Beit Din, that's the trio of rabbis who's with you at the mikveh, that we were able to ask Ryan when we were there together, but we're also going to give her the opportunity to hold a Torah. So I'm going to ask you just for a moment, if you will, to rise as we take our Torah from the ark. You can be seated. So Ryan, this Torah is a representation of the teachings that have been passed through the Jewish community from one generation to the next for countless generations. This Torah is a reminder of everything that we fight for and everything that we live for. And so I would like to ask you, Ryan, do you become a Jew of your own free will? Do you promise to be able to live a life within the Jewish community? Do you promise to continue to create a Jewish home? Do you promise to continue to involve yourself in Jewish study and Jewish worship? If you are blessed with children, do you promise to raise them as Jews? And so I would like to ask all of us, one of the things that we did at the mikvah is we sang Shema together, but if I can ask you all to join with me in the words of Shema yet again. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Now, we told Ryan that she did not need to sort of defend herself to the congregation and make a speech, so I will take the Torah. But what we would love, if you wouldn't mind, is will you at least tell us what Hebrew name you chose? Go on up to the mic so people can hear you, and maybe a little bit about why.
So I chose the name Noah. It's one of the 5 daughters of, I'm going to butcher the name.
Zlofchad.
It's one of the daughters that fought for the right to inherit property versus just only men inheriting property, and they went to Moses and asked for that right. And I'm a feminist, and I specifically connected with Rabbi Fader on that, and so it meant a lot to me to be able to choose that name.
We should say that the timing of it is kind of amazing because this week's Parsha is Noah. It's the other Noah. This is the boy Noah, but still very beautiful. And I think so amazing that for you, knowing that that feminism is so dear to you, and to be able to celebrate this week, which is also we are here on the 50th anniversary of Women in the Rabbinate. It is a very cool time to be able to welcome such an amazing other strong leader. So even though I'm not contagious anymore, I'm going to do my hug from afar, but just say, like, welcome. We are so happy, and just welcome to the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Oh, wait, Ryan. Wait. Ryan. So those daughters of Zlofchad that she mentioned, who are really 5 of the coolest heroes in our entire Torah, do not really get a lot of discussion when we pray together. Usually when we pray together, we talk about our matriarchs and our patriarchs, but we know that every Jew who has ever been born, who's ever chosen Judaism, that all of us are part of this great tradition, and that each of us connects to and responds to God in a different way. And so when we say tefillah, we always begin our prayer by saying the names of some of those matriarchs and patriarchs, each of who connected to God in their own way as we do now. And so I'll ask you, if you will, to please rise on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufia ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezocher Chastei Avot ve'imavot, Umevi Geula lifnei bneihem, Leman Shemo b'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav le'oshia, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומצהיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. So at this time, we are going to turn our hearts and our thoughts to those who are in need of healing prayers. And so before we sing Mishaberach on page 253, if there's someone who you're thinking of who is ill in mind or body or spirit, and who would appreciate knowing that their names were shared here, I would invite you to do so at this time. Of Arlene Alper and Lacey Weinstein, and just for all those names that it's hard to say. For them and for us on page 253, Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Yehiyu liratzon imrefi behegyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu liratzon imrefi behegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Yehiyu liratzon imrefi והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לי רצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali.
So this week, our Torah portion is Parshat Noah. And my guess is that this is probably a story about Noah and the ark that you have heard before, but there's all sorts of amazing teachings that you can really give about the story of Noah. So if you want to hear those, you're going to have to come back tomorrow morning or watch on our live stream so you can hear Ava's brilliance and what she has to tell us about the story of Noah. But what I'd like to share with you tonight is what happens just after that. We know that in the story of Noah, that God has decided that God wants to really get rid of all of humanity because they're just not very good. And so God starts from scratch with Noah and Noah's family. And so after the flood, Noah and his family, they go and they basically start the new human race. And these new humans, they're actually kind of awesome. They are incredibly smart. They are very good communicators. They are wonderful at teamwork. They're so good at all of these things that they decide to take it upon themselves to do this wonderful capital project. They say that they are going to build a tower. And they're going to work together and build the tallest tower that ever could be, so tall that it reaches all the way to the heavens, to God. Now, even though God is, relatively pleased with these new humans, God is not psyched about this plan. And so God says, I already promised that I wouldn't destroy all of humanity, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make it so that when these people are building the tower, when they talk to each other, I'm going to confound their language. So when they speak to each other, all they will hear is babble, 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 babble. God does this. The people, of course, can no longer build their tower, and so they give up on this project, and it is forever known as the Tower of Babel. Now, anytime that there is a story in the Torah, we like to assume that there is some sort of reason that it was put there, and the Tower of Babel could have a lot of different reasons for being in the Torah. Maybe it's there to teach us about hubris and the idea that we could somehow be as great or as tall as God would be. Maybe it's actually a story about how dangerous that it can sometimes be if all of us think and act and speak exactly the same way. Or maybe it's just in the Torah as a way of trying to explain to people why it is that there are so many languages in the world. Any of those could be the reason. But for me, what I like most about the story of the Tower of Babel, which is just these 9 little lines in Parshat Noah, what I like most about the story is not really what's found in the Torah itself, but what we read in the Midrash. And the best Midrash about the Tower of Babel, it comes from a work of Midrashim called Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. In Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, they talk about sort of what it must have been like when they were building that tower. And you have to imagine that this tower was so incredibly high. I mean, they thought that it was going to reach to God. And so what happened is once they got to a certain point, they were basically sort of making a human chain, and they would be reaching up and getting one brick and passing it to the next person all the way up. And it got to this point that the bricks were so incredibly precious that the Midrash tells us that if a brick were to fall, that everyone would mourn. They would all cry and they would be so incredibly upset. But if a person were to fall to the ground, not so much. The Midrash even specifically gives the example, and they said that if someone was pregnant and that she had to have the baby while on the tower, that it still didn't matter, because even children were not as precious as these tools that we can hold in our hands. So I get that maybe this is a little too on the nose, right? Maybe it's a little too obvious to be able to say that even all the way back when Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer was written, that our ancestors understood that the idea of saying that any sort of tool we could hold in our hands is more precious than a life, especially the life of children, that is just a terrible, terrible thing to say. But I don't actually think that that's what you need to hear from me. I think you already have heard that. You already know it. What I would like to share with you instead is what happens at the ends of the Midrash. At the end of the Midrash, they talk about what happened once the Tower of Babel could no longer be built. And the Midrash says that once the tower was no longer going to be built, that a third of the tower went up in flames. A third of the tower was somehow washed out by water and floods, and the third of it just crumpled to the ground. But to this day, it says, if you pass by the place where the Tower of Babel once stood, you immediately forget everything. And I share this with you because I'm deeply concerned in our country that we are living in this place where we are always right there by the Tower of Babel. And we are forgetting again and again and again. My friends, it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago yesterday was Tree of Life. 5 months ago this week was Uvalde. And there have been so many moments in between, and I fear that we are forgetting about all of them. And I will hold myself responsible for this as well, for making it so easy to forget. And I will tell you that after Monday, I thought to myself, will I actually talk about this at services on Friday, or will too much time have passed? It's been 4 days. Does anyone care anymore? It's hardly even in the paper today. But the good news is this. You know, there's so many different things that are frightening and upsetting and worth battling about in our country today, but the vast majority of them, they're on multiple sides, right? However you vote, whatever you believe, if we are talking about abortion or immigration or Israel and Palestine, I mean, there's so many different things that we can all have our unique perspectives of, but I guarantee you that no one in this room and no one who is watching, that none of us believe that children should have to be afraid to go to school. And for those of you who are Ledoux parents, and I don't know how many of you are, but we got a survey this week, and one of the things we had to fill out is, how often are you terrified of sending your children to school? Mark the box of just how scared you are. But because every one of us believes that children should be safe, it should make us feel maybe a little bit less hopeless and a little bit less afraid, because what it means is that we're all finally in agreement about something. All of us agree that this has to stop. And so now we just have to be able to find the people who have the right plans and get them into positions of power so that they can make a difference and do something about it. And all of us can do that, because all of us have that voice and that ability to be able to support the people who can make a difference. You know, Ava, this is not a spoiler alert, but one of the things that we talked about when we were getting ready for your bat mitzvah was this idea about what it would be like if various heroes from the past were here in our time now. And all I could think about when we were having those discussions is how much it breaks my heart that we need a hero from the past to show up now. Because you and Savannah and Oliver and Isaiah and Ben and Miriam and Jessica and Braden and Ryan and all of the cousins, I'm sorry, I'm just meeting you, so I don't know your names yet, but that all of the children who are in here, that every single one of you deserves for us to do our jobs and find you a hero there. So let us be the ones who can use our voice. Let us lift up our voice and be able to somehow make a difference. So whether it is at the ballot box or whether it is just providing enough education and support that we can give the people who need to be in charge the tools to do so, let's use our voices so that we don't have to have one of these sermons and one of these services ever again.
I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to make a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth. I'll stand up for what's right. I will use this strength I've been given to be a light. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu b'tselem Elohim. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world.
Ask you to join me now on page 282 and rise for the words of the Aleinu.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
On page 289, in nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. We recall with love the name of one taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to his family in sympathy as we recall his name, Mark Granofsky. We now recall the names of those the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the wall of honor for perpetual memorial. Bess Brown, Robert Berg, Millard S. Cohen, Michael Cutter, Beatrice Edison, Abram Farber, Pharrell Fox, Ida Pokris Goldberg, Emil Green, Lizzie Greenberg, Rose Greenberg, Deborah Grodsky, Jeannie Hardy, Dora Hykins, Pauline Shukot-Jacks, Dr. Jack Kays, Helen Arbisman-Kerner, Melvin Cohn, Myra Tucholsky-Coppola, Gladys Miriam Chrisman, Louis Landau, J. M. Lawton, Eva Shear-Lazaroff, Ralph Scott Linford, Marvin Jean Marshall, William Stix Milius, Saul Mogerman, Clara Rubin Newmark, Dr. Charles Rederer, David Rickensall, Dr. Marvin Roskin, Norma May Scallett, Joe Schneiderman, Benjamin Miller Schuline, Shirley Cohn-Schweig, Lottie Sherman, Arthur Silver, Herbert B. Simon, Harry S. Smith, Dr. Harry Sorkin, Dr. Samuel David Sula Sr., Dinah Rice Stix, Ida Wennick Trainin, Jenny Wagner, Myron Wally Waldman, Dr. Stuart Weiss, Aladar Wildman, Herman S. Wolfheim Jr., Lucille Strauss-Wolfert, Dr. Louis G. Zelson. So these names and the names that we keep in our hearts, we turn together to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divarach irite v'yamlich malchute, v'chayachon u'yomechon u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'adala u'vizman kari v'emru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei tekudesha barechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Ta'amiran ba'alma v'emru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'emru amen. The source of peace, and peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved.
Oseh shalom b'mromav.
And so just a few last words before we sing one more time. So much of what we talk about here, as you know, we try to be as apolitical as possible, but what I usually do try and at least say is that for almost any issue that is of concern in America today, that there is a Jewish perspective, and there are often multiple Jewish perspectives. So I do want to invite everyone, not this Sunday, but the 2 following, if you wish to join Rabbi Michael and I. We are going to be teaching a class on Sunday mornings called How to Vote Jewishly. And please know that we are not going to be endorsing any candidates or tell you how to vote on anything, but really just to give you the different Jewish perspectives on the things that are on the ballot this time around, or that may be in the future. And you will note we have one before the election and after the election, so we can talk about how we want to vote and then talk about what we'll do next in case the votes don't go the way that we want to. I also just want to say a special thank you to all of our teachers who are here tonight, because for as much as I know we have so many concerns about the children in our midst, that you teachers have taken on more than you ever probably bargained for, and so we are grateful for each of you and what you do for us. Last but not least, Rob, thank you for your beautiful music tonight, and my hope in Rob singing this song was that even while you were able to have a little solo then, that maybe now you might feel like you could sing along. So for our closing song, we're going to try it one more time, but we're going to encourage you to see if maybe you can catch on a little bit and sing along.
I will open my eyes.
I will open my eyes.
I will not look away.
I will not look away.
I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. I have a voice, I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. One more time. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. Change the world.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.